The real story of empire collapse? It's not about kings and generals. Beat. It's about regular people trying to survive. It's about the ordinary citizens, how their lives, jobs, and safety are affected when empires fall. Let's explore the human cost of historical collapse. The numbers tell a brutal story. In the Roman Empire, as the economy crumbled during the 3rd century crisis, it's estimated that the population of Rome plummeted from over 1 million in 200 AD to just a few hundred thousand by 400 AD. That's a loss of nearly 75% of the city's inhabitants. In the Ottoman Empire, the economic downturn led to currency devaluation and increased taxation, driving many into poverty. A report in 1914 indicated that the average annual income of a rural peasant in Anatolia had dropped to less than a tenth of what it was just a few decades earlier. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 brought about a similar crisis. Life expectancy dropped from 70 years in 1980 to just 65 by the mid-1990s, while unemployment soared to 20%. What do these numbers mean for everyday people? They reflect more than just economic shifts. They illustrate the profound psychological and social impact on citizens. Families fractured under the weight of unemployment and rising prices. Communities experienced insecurity as safety net programs collapsed. Here's where it gets interesting. The experiences of these ordinary people during these tumultuous times reveal a recurring pattern throughout history. In this documentary, we will delve into the personal accounts of citizens from the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Soviet Union. We'll explore how they navigated day-to-day life amid chaos, how they coped with rising prices, job losses, and threats to their safety. These are not just stories from history books. They are a reflection of the human spirit under duress. We will witness their struggles through the lens of their reality. Stay with me as we uncover what ordinary citizens experienced during the collapse of empires. Their stories will offer insights not only into the past, but also into the present day, as we find echoes of their experiences in contemporary society. Let's start with the Roman Empire, which reached its peak around 117 AD. It was a time of prosperity, but beneath the surface, economic troubles were brewing. By the end of the 2nd century, the cracks started showing. Beat, and they got worse fast. The economy was heavily reliant on slave labor, and as conquest slowed, so did the influx of slaves. This created labor shortages and rising costs. In the early 200s, citizens began to feel the impact. Take the story of Lucius, a baker in Rome. In 250 AD, he faced skyrocketing grain prices due to supply shortages. The government tried to control prices through edicts, but these often backfired. The Edict of Diocletian in 301 AD set maximum prices for goods, which only led to black markets and further inflation. Lucius watched his profits dwindle while the cost of living rose. His family of 5 struggled to put food on the table. Lucius wasn't alone. By 275 AD, historians estimate that more than half of Rome's population was unemployed. Beat, more than half. Craftsmen like Marcus, a carpenter, found it increasingly difficult to secure work. He recalls, "I would wait days for a job, often going home empty-handed. The markets were filled with goods, but nobody had the coin to buy them." As the economy collapsed, safety became a pressing concern. The once thriving streets of Rome were filled with desperation. Theft and violence surged. Citizens like Claudia, a mother of 2, felt the fear every time she stepped out. She recounts, "You could hear the chaos outside. I kept my children close, and we rarely ventured out after dark." By the time the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, the social fabric had frayed. The stories of Lucius, Marcus, and Claudia illustrate the profound impact of political and economic collapse on ordinary lives. Each individual faced a reality marked by scarcity, uncertainty, and fear, creating a lasting sense of instability. What can history teach us today? Now, Let's shift our focus to the Ottoman Empire, which lasted for over 600 years, finally dissolving in the early 20th century. The late 19th century was when everything started falling apart for the Ottomans. The empire was losing territories, and economic decline set in. By 1912, during the Balkan Wars, the empire was reeling from military defeats and territorial losses. Consider the experience of Fatima, a farmer in rural Anatolia. In 1908, she could sell her wheat for a fair price. By 1912, however, the devaluation of the currency had made her earnings practically worthless. Prices soared, and many families, including hers, faced starvation. "We could barely afford bread," she remembers. "My children cried when they were hungry, and I had nothing to give them." The situation in urban areas was just as dire. Istanbul, the capital, became a city of contrasts. Wealthy elites thrived while the working class struggled. Ali, a factory worker, witnessed his wages shrink as inflation took hold. In 1913, he received a pay cut of 15%. "I worked harder, but every month I found myself further in debt," he recalls. As the empire crumbled, the streets became dangerous, beat. Walking home at night turned into a gamble. The years leading up to World War I saw civil unrest, protests, and riots as citizens expressed their frustrations. The Young Turks' Revolution of 1908 promised reform, but for many ordinary people, it brought little relief. "The government was too busy fighting wars to care about us," Fatima said. The end of the Ottoman Empire in 1922 marked a seismic shift. The Treaty of Sèvres in 1920 carved up territories, leading to mass displacements and suffering. Millions, like Fatima and Ali, became refugees overnight. The impact on their lives was profound and lasting. The collapse of the empire wasn't just a political event, it was an upheaval that changed the very fabric of society. What do these narratives reveal? They show us that economic hardships and loss of security are not isolated incidents. They resonate across time and space. The experiences of Fatima and Ali echo the struggles of ordinary citizens throughout history. Now, let's draw parallels to the present day. Over the past decade, we've watched Venezuela's economy implode. Beat Syria's infrastructure collapse. Beat, the pattern repeats. From Venezuela to Syria, the human experiences during these times often mirror those in ancient Rome and the Ottoman Empire. In Venezuela, for instance, the collapse of the economy has led to a humanitarian crisis. As of 2023, the inflation rate is reported to be over 3,000%. Citizens face food shortages daily. Maria, a single mother in Caracas, shares her experience. "I stand in line for hours just to buy a few groceries. Sometimes I leave empty-handed." Similar stories emerge from Syria, where years of conflict have decimated the economy and safety. With an unemployment rate hovering around 50% in 2022, families are struggling to survive. Ahmad, a father of 3, reflects on life in Aleppo. "We used to have a thriving community. Now, we can't even go outside without fear." These modern experiences resonate with those of Lucius in ancient Rome and Fatima in the Ottoman Empire. The core issues remain the same: rising prices, job loss, and insecurity. The stories of ordinary citizens during the collapse of empires remind us that history is not just about the powerful. It's about the people, those who bear the brunt of decisions made by leaders far removed from their everyday lives. As we look towards the future, we must ask ourselves, what lessons can we learn from these historical patterns? Will we repeat the mistakes of the past, or will we find a way to create a more secure and equitable society? The human aspect of empire collapse is profound and often overlooked. These collapses don't just change borders on a map. Pause. They destroy millions of real lives, one family at a time. The stories of Lucius, Fatima, and Maria remind us that the impact of political and economic upheaval reaches deep into the fabric of society. As we navigate our own challenges today, from economic uncertainty to social unrest, we must remember the lessons of the past. Every collapse has a story, Let's investigate how we can learn from them. If you found these stories enlightening and want to delve deeper into the human experience throughout history, subscribe to Empire Unraveled for more insights. Let's continue to explore the narratives that shape our world and our lives.